Hello viewers, welcome to my channel History Hub. Today we will know about the history of Canada, part 5. The 72 Revolution from the 1864 Quebec and Conference and the Charlottetown's Conference and later out of the framework for until a British and colonies in the North America into a federation. The resolution became the basis of the London Conference of 1816, which the lead and formation of domination of Canada on July 1. 1867, the term and domain was chosen and indicated on Canada's status as a self and governing polity of the British and empires. The first and time it was used about the country, with the coming into the force and of the British and North America Act 1867 enacted by British and Parliament. Canada became the federate country in his own right. According to J. and McCulloch, use of the process and domination of Canada was gradually the process and outgrowing to the late of 1940 and 50 and early and 60 with the growth and post and colonial and Canadian nationalism and federation immigrated from multiple and impulses. The British wanted the Canada to define itself, the maritimes and needed to the railroad and connections, which were the promised in 1867. English Canadian nationalism sought into until the lands into the country and dominated by the English language and the loyalist culture. And many Francis Canadians saw opportunity to expert and political control within the new largely Francis speaking Quebec. In fact, a possible use expansion of Northwell one political level. We are the is and despite the expansions and responsibility government and eliminations of legal did back did block drug between the upper of lower and Canada. Their replacement with the provincial and religious in federation. This was specifically processed the liberal reforms movement of South Canada from the Francis Canada party roof and law and Canada who and wave are the term union in the home president of Upper Canadian and Conference and party to the large and Francis Canadian party and hello with the forwards and Central Religious Union using the roles of Canadians public and railway and transcontinental line that would be until the nation and Ahota attack to the support to into the maritimes and in British Columbia in 1866 and colony of British and Columbia. The colony of Vancouver and the island and married into the Channel and colony British and Columbia after the report and land and transferred the Canada by British and in 1870 and connecting to the eastern province and British Columbia a joint of Canada in 1871. In 1873, Princess Edward Island and joined and Newfoundland, which had no use for and transoceanly and the railway, violated no 1869 and did not join and Canada until in 1873, John met equaled and fast and prime minister of Canada and created the Northwest and Mount and Police. Now the Royal and Canadian Martin Polish to help and polish the Northwest and territories and specifically and mountains who are the assets and Canadian servedly to prevent and possibly American and armaments and into the area. The mountains of fast and large scale and missions was the upwards and the second independence, a movement by maintained boards and sites and mixed bloods and people of the joint fast and nation, Europeans and descents who organized in mid and 17th century. The desert independence and uprooted in the Red River and Revolution in 1869 and their late and Northwest Revolution. In 1885, led by Louis Louis, supporting the revolutions was Canada, first in independent and military actions, and demonstrated the needed and completed the Canadian and Pacific Railway. Its gradually and one confluent and control of the ferries and demonstrated the nations and government was enclaved, desired and action. However, it lost and conceived a party of the support in Quebec, and the led to parliaments and districts and Anglophone and community on the part of the Francis. As Canada expanded to the Canada and government and rather to the British, to crown and Eberward and British and with the residents and First Nations and people the beginning with the Treaty 1. In 1871, the treaties of exciting of governing title and the traditional territories and created the reserve and through the ingenious peoples and exclusive use and appointed to the territory settlement indigenous people included and between the federal and government of the indigenous people say govern had the relations between the new and settlers and the uh, in the indigenous peoples under the Indian Act and government and started the residential school system with the integrated and indigenous and peoples and civilization them. In the 1819, and legal expert and confident and farm work and criminals law and culminating in the criminal code in 1892 the solidence the liberty agile and equality before the law in by the method of abstract and principle standing and reality and ever adults and Canadians Wilford and lawyer with the served in 1896 and 1911 as the 17th Prime Minister of Canada left Canada was barred and becoming the power and declared that the 20th century would be belong to Canada. The Alaska boundary of Seminary of Science Alaska approaches of 1867 became critical with gold was discovered in the Yukon and during the late of 19 with US controlling the possible of century of included the support during the late 1900s 1890 with the US and controlling the possible and ports of entry. Canadians agreed on the boundary and included the port of Skagway. The dispute went to the arbitration in 1903, but British and delegated and sided with the Americans, Ingles and Canadians, who fit and British had and determined and Canadians' interests to carry favor with US. In 1995, and Saskatchewan, Alberta, we are admitted province. They are growing and rapidly thanks to abundant white crop that attacked immigration to the plains by Ukrainians and northern and central Europeans and by settlers from the United States, Britain and Eastern Canada. Laurel signed an repatriation and treaty with the US that would be lowered and tariffs in the broad and declaration and conservatives under the Robert Broden and Chen connected it, saying it should and integrated and Canada's economic into the US and loosens ties with the Britain. The Conservative Part won by 91 a Canadian federal election. Thank you for watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. for upcoming videos. Goodbye.